Hi everyone, I'm Becky.
And I'm Sarah, and welcome to Sounds Like a Bunch of Hoopla!
Hoopla! We are both from the Taylor Community Library, and we are here to give you a family recommendation and a movie that is probably best left without the kids, all available on Hoopla.
These are films that we have both watched and are ready to give our spoiler-free opinions on.
First, let's talk about our family movie, which was Zapped. Sarah, do you want to give us a description of this movie?
I will give you the Disney Plus description of this movie because I think it just concisely puts it in such a perfect view. After a freak accident with her smartphone, Zoe discovers a magical app that can control the boys in her life. I do want to point out that Zoe is played by Zendaya. So honestly, stop watching the video and just go watch it because it's Zendaya.
This movie is not only available on Hoopla, but like Sarah said, it's available on Disney Plus. It's available on Hulu.
Or for free on Hoopla.
Initial thoughts, what were you thinking going into watching Zapped?
I was excited. I knew it was going to be, as a Disney Channel original film, I knew it was going to be geared towards a younger audience than I. As you know, but our viewers probably do not know, I am not a teenager. I know I look it. I'm not, though. But I knew it would be kind of cheesy but fun. And having Zendaya in it, I was like, that's fine. I'll watch anything she's in. She's great.
Yeah, I definitely expected it to be pretty cheesy because Disney films usually are pretty high on the cheese factor, but I expected it to be, I guess, like cutesy and fun and just like an overall good movie is what I was expecting going in.
I did want to say, and I have no idea where I saw this, but it was in my brain somewhere, so I looked into it, that this story was semi-based on a book that came out in, I believe, 2008, called Boys Are Dogs by Leslie Margulie, I believe, which is for middle grade, and it doesn't sound like she has a magical app in that book, but it is the same exact premise where she finds a manual to help train the dog because she is just thrown into a world of men, and the manual also helps her train the men in her life, I guess. Sounds like a quick read.
Yeah, the book is not available on any of our e-resources, but it is available at some of our libraries once we are able to get you physical books again.
Yes, we can put on a request from another library once that is a thing again, which we hope is soon because I rely on that forever.
Same.
And I know our readers and watchers do too.
So, once you started watching the movie, what were you thinking? Is there anything in the movie that you think people should watch out for, or any issues like that?
It is a movie that came out in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
You know, there are maybe some tropes in there that now may seem a little sexist or what you wouldn't see in movies now. I think they got over that hump pretty quickly in the beginning of the movie. But she literally starts out in the first 5 minutes of the movie basically defeated because she is joining a household of, she's blending her family with her mom and a new stepdad, 3 stepbrothers, and a male dog. So you get the sense from her immediately that she is going to be overrun by the opposite gender. Oh no. And it just goes on from there to show how different the genders are, apparently. Even the dog.
Yeah, I will say there's not a whole lot of sexist issues towards the women. It's more towards boys, which is still not okay.
Correct.
I will say it didn't take it too far, which I was a little worried about because it is such an older film, but it definitely had just like maybe a handful of times where I kind of cringed, but overall I think it eventually moved away so much from that. What ends up happening in this film is that her cell phone ends up getting, through a whole series of events, zapped.
Toilet, dog food, and a window involved, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, and a satellite dish.
Oh, yes. Forgot about that.
And then the app that she had on her phone, which was called, I think, like Obey or something, it was supposed to be able to control dogs because their boy dog, of course, is a nuisance. And when the phone gets zapped, that now can control boys because apparently boys are dogs.
Hilarity ensues, as it always does
Yes.
in a Disney movie.
All right. Anything else about Zapped?
That is as spoiler free as we can make it
I
without
think so.
ruining anything.
Yeah.
Just know that you're going to have fun watching it. There are those, stereotypes, but they ended in the end. Like, yes, people are different, but to love and be a family, you have to accept those differences. And then, of course, dance numbers. Dance numbers. Most important thing you can have in a film. Michael Bay should take some notes, add him into his action films.
What did you think about the movie overall?
So overall, if we're going to go ahead, let's do like a 10-star system. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Overall, I would have gave it probably an 8 or a 9. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic.
I'd probably give it the same rating. I really enjoyed it. The beginning was pretty iffy. It was very cheesy in the beginning, and with the, I guess we would say like subtle stereotypes against men, I was very nervous. But then once like the main plot takes place of her phone being zapped, then it just became like really funny and playful and really kind of like steered away from all the issues that were in the beginning. And I think the ending message was really, really nice of how, family sticks together no matter if they are blood or married in. And I think it was really, really cool. All right, let's move on to our adult movie, Containment. Not to be confused with Contagion. Sarah, take us away with a description.
I will take you away. So, Containment, if my cat will stop getting the calendar up. Neighbors in an apartment complex wake up to find that they have been sealed inside by strangers in hazmat suits. Unable to identify the infected, the quarantines start turning against each other. Now, let me first preface this by saying within 3 minutes of the movie starting, basic 3 to 5 minutes, you find out that not only were they contained within their apartment complex, their doors were glued shut. They cannot get out of their rooms.
Yeah, like it's not just like the building that they can't leave. They can't get out of their individual apartments, which are teeny tiny. Yes. Can't open the windows, no electricity, no water.
They've cut off everything. They've jammed the cell phone towers so they can't even call out. It's a whirlwind from start to finish.
Yeah. And it does not take place in the US. Somewhere
in the UK. Somewhere in the UK.
Somewhere across the pond.
What were your thoughts going in when we picked a movie like this during this time in our lives?
So, for one, I was a little nervous because of that. I thought, on one hand, there are a group of people who I've seen on social media and stuff whose initial reaction to the current pandemic was, let's start watching films about pandemics. That's not my gut instinct, but that's okay. So I was a little nervous. I also don't really watch many pandemic movies unless they're zombies. Like if it turns into zombies, then I'm in. But otherwise, I usually don't gravitate towards these kind of movies anyways. So I was pretty nervous going in. What about you?
I was nervous excited because I love movies like this. I will always watch apocalyptic, dystopia, pandemic. I love these movies. They're fantastic. It reminded me a lot about a couple of one nonfiction book and one fiction book, because even though there weren't zombies, the entire time I kept thinking that because we don't know what the sickness is, we don't know anything going in, and we learn little. The whole time I'm like, someone's going to wake up and become a zombie. But yeah, the movie definitely reminded me of a couple of non-fiction-y books and fiction books. Even though there weren't zombies, I definitely got a sense of Max Brooks's World War Z. And then it 100% reminded me of Richard Preston's book In the Hot Zone. He writes non-fiction books like they are suspenseful novels, which I very much enjoy my nonfiction to be. But In the Hot Zone was written about, I believe, Ebola and maybe a different kind of virus going on overseas, which did read a lot like an apocalypse book. I would suggest if you enjoy Containment, which I know I did, I would also check out those books.
I will say, I don't think that it was too much for what we're currently going through.
No, and there weren't like similarities in a sense of what's going on. And the fact that the movie itself takes place over 24 hours.
Yeah, the entire thing is a 24-hour period, and then it's over. Which I will say that because it all takes place in 24 hours, we only have 24 hours to meet all of our characters. But the thing is that none of our characters know each other either. So we only know as much as our main character knows, which was really, really interesting.
It was, because it's all people that are neighbors, and you meet each of them as Mark, the main guy, meets them when, Niku and his older brother Sergei bust through the wall because their doors are locked. And you learn about these characters, not a lot, but you learn about these characters in the same amount of time that Mark would. But you still seem to, I know I got attached to Niku, the little boy, who was a mute. And I know the whole time you watched the movie, you said you were waiting for him to speak the entire time. Like it would just happen. It doesn't happen. So don't wait for that.
Yeah.
Just like no zombies. Don't wait for that either.
Slight spoiler, there's no zombies, and Niku is not going to talk. But
I don't know if no zombies is a spoiler, but
but there's so many scenes where they just zoom in on Niku's face, and it looks like he's going to say something, but he never does.
And they make you care for him. Really great by the filmmakers. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think it was maybe not necessarily a bold choice, but kind of like a risky choice to really not, like, we don't ever have a moment where the characters are relaxed enough where they can ask each other questions or get to know each other. Like, the entire film is just very go, 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 go from start until the end. It's really, really interesting how much we can end up caring for these characters, but I think it also kind of shows that you understand why these characters would care for each other and want to help each other in the situation, because we ended up caring about them and we are completely removed.
One trope that I love in every apocalypse movie I feel like I've ever seen, and especially it reminded me of the overplayed trope in Shaun of the Dead, which is a zombie movie, was there's always a guy in the group and he always has glasses, and this was Aiden in the movie, who ruins everything. Everything is awful, and they just make it worse because they can, and they think they know better, and they go against the leader and majority of the group. If you are ever in an apocalypse, don't let a guy with glasses in. I'm fine. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Dudes. No dudes with glasses.
Yeah, they gotta go. I mean,
the Davids of the world.
You can.
That's the Shaun of the Dead reference again, sorry.
You can let them in, and then the first time that they say something sarcastic or unhelpful or obvious, you gotta go. Kick them right out the door.
That just seems like they're only going against the group just to do it. Take them out. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Get them out of there. But even with a virus that you don't learn enough about it. You don't learn basically anything about it. No. It is a whirlwind of a movie. And even with the deep themes with like sickness and a fight for survival, there isn't any gore. They like a lot of movies in this genre that go overly gory.
Because this one was rated PG-13, I believe.
PG-13. Mm-hmm.
So, it's definitely appropriate for teens. One thing I really liked was that the scenes that are a little bit more mature, they either happen very quickly or they don't kind of stay on that pain for very long. A lot of times too, it would kind of like something would happen and you know what's going to end up happening to that person, but they just let you decide for yourself what kind of ends up happening.
Yeah, they had a lot of clever camera shots. Like one of the situations in the hallway that I will not get into, when that piece happened and you saw it from behind, and then even when the person swung around, the camera went from behind. So you don't see the aftermath, but you gather from the context clues. Oh, crap.
Yeah, I don't think that there were any times where there was anything that happened just for shock value, and we really only saw what the characters saw.
You're not going to get an ending out of this movie, which I usually don't like with movies, books are fine being open-ended because it's a book. With this one, I didn't mind that it's so open at the end. And honestly, I would have been fine. There were several spots, like when it did a camera cut, where I thought, this is it, it's over. And I'm fine with that. But it wasn't. Like, it totally could have ended, I thought 100% it would have ended at the swing set, as you know.
Yes.
And I would have been fine with that. And the movie would have worked too if it ended there. But you got a few more minutes, and it did add to the story, but not any information you get.
No, it's definitely very open-ended. Like you said, I really didn't mind, even though there were so many questions. I feel like because the whole movie was a question, because we don't know what this virus is or how it got started or who these people are, what their backgrounds are. Like, we have so many questions from the beginning that I think it just worked to kind of be like, we showed you this chapter in these people's lives, and that's all this movie is.
I will say that I very much enjoyed this film. Mm-hmm. And it was a quick watch. It was like less than 120 minutes, I think. I would give it, honestly, probably about an 7 or an 8 on a 10 point scale. I would put it right up there with any other similar movies that are great to watch right now if you're into that kind of thing. What about you?
Yeah, I think I would give it maybe an 8 or a 9. I think it's a really good beginner film for somebody who's maybe thinking about going down the pandemic route in horror or thriller. But I think it's a really good like beginning movie. I think it could still be family-esque if you have teens in your family.
Yeah, older
I think
kids,
that it's still an appropriate film for that. So I really enjoyed it.
It makes you ask a lot of questions. You get a good discussion out of it at the end. It's for sure available on Hoopla for free if you have a library card. It is also available on a platform called Tubi for free. I'm unfamiliar with this platform, so if anyone knows and would like to give me a little more information, pop it in the comments.
We hope that we have given you 2 new movies for you to check out on Hoopla. If you end up watching them, please be sure to come back and comment and tell us what you thought about these movies.
See you next time on Sounds Like a Bunch of
Hoopla!